Dude, I'd be totally down to do a Tetris tutorial. Because, I mean, honestly, like, I can't Tetris tutorial in this game because there's no modes, obviously, for it. But I do have Puyo Puyo Tetris on here, which I absolutely can do tutorials here, over there. So, no worries, it's all good. So here's the question for you guys. In terms of Tetris, what is it that you guys want help in? So like if I was to give you guys a tutorial or something like that, what kind of thing would you want me to like go over, like to try to teach right now? Because honestly, what really happens a lot when you actually start when you start playing it, you have to be so mindful of the pieces that are coming up. You really, really, really have to think ahead to the other pieces. So this one you can see you can see just about the same amount of pieces. So if we just go to Tetris Marathon mode over here. So what happens is when you play this game a lot, what you want to do is you want to make sure you're used to the layout that is going to be. So you want to think of the top line. I call that the landscape. You always want to be very cognizant of your landscape, right? So for example, here's a common scenario. If I put the box here to put room for the green S piece coming up, that's going to force me to have a Z or an L piece cover up that hole. Now I already knew that, like way up ahead. I didn't have to place the blocks to see that was gonna happen. I knew that was gonna happen, right? So let me see if I can come up with any other. Okay, so here's another one, right? So let's say this hole wasn't here, and you're like, where should I put this T piece? Let me put it over here. The problem is if you put this over here, the landscape you've created now forces an I piece into this column. It's the only piece that can fit in here that will, quote, save your landscape. And the way that you know you have a saved landscape is that it's relatively flat. If you have a landscape that's relatively flat like this, you have a good landscape. If you end up with a landscape with a bunch of towers like this, you're kind of in a shitty situation because you've kind of divided your playing field in half, and you don't want to do that. So I could place this piece like this, but I know I have an O piece in the hole. So I'd rather put the piece like that because now I know I can slide the O piece over there and I have a second O piece over here, right? So it's all about maintaining this landscape. It's understanding the landscape. So for example here, I already know if I put the S piece here, it creates a spot for the Z piece here, right? And so this is all the things that you want to do. So right now, if I drop this block here with the intention of throwing the Z piece on top of that, that would work because the L piece is coming up. So if I put this here, now you notice the only thing that can shore up this hole is an I piece or an L piece. In general, you don't want to have the I piece be what you rely on because you want to save it in your hole as much as possible. Here's another one. I could drop the T piece like this. Most people will actually drop the T piece like this. But why not drop it like that instead? Because what you've done now is you've created a hole for the O piece. So these are things, if you watch Jonas play, Jonas is amazing. Okay, look, I have an L piece and a J piece coming up. This is a terrible move. This is a terrible move because it's gonna force me to have an L piece and a J piece. But the thing is, I already know I have them, so I don't care. So I'm just gonna do it anyway, right? But if you actually watch Jonas play, he's one of the absolute best at the last second adjustments to make pieces go into really, really nice spaces. Like this one's an interesting one. If I drop this here and then I drop the T block over here, that's a problem because now only a J piece can fit in there. But if I drop the S piece in there, this is a much more favorable scenario because a J or an L can save me, right? So since a J or an L save me, I have 2 out of 7 times chances of being able to have a piece that saves me. And these are the kind of things that you just have to be aware of while you play these games, or while you play this game. You always want to be aware of the situation that you have. So again, you want to have as flat of a landscape as possible, but if the landscape is actually tilted and slanted to your Tetris column, that's okay. You're always better off in this situation because once you learn how to burn pieces like that, you can actually lower the stack in a way that you can keep yourself alive. So some people may throw this here. That's terrible because now I'm only reliant on one piece. So I will throw this over here and drop this down like this. Now, here's an interesting scenario. The next piece is the red piece. I could drop the T piece here, but now the red piece doesn't have a clean place to go. So I'm gonna put it here instead so this piece has a clean place to go. Again, always watch the landscape. Now, this is a terrible move because it forces an L piece on me. But I noticed I have an L piece right there. So I'm not worried about it, so I'm gonna go ahead and take advantage of that. So again, always keep in mind the next pieces that are coming. So I could put this box here, but now where do I put the L piece afterwards? So right away, I automatically in my brain adjusted to that, so I could do that. So many things about understanding. So I paused here because I don't like this, but another J piece is coming, so I can fix that, no problem. Now I could drop this over here, but that doesn't help me because I'm probably better. So, okay, this is a very common scenario. This valley right here. Is it here or here? That's a better spot to put it because now I have the L or the J piece that I can clean it up with. And again, I wish I could pause the screen and show you the stack. I can't do that because the pieces keep dropping, so it's hard for me to explain while it's happening at the same time. Whoops. So it's actually really hard for me sometimes to explain exactly what my mindset is because I can't show you what the field looks like when it's paused. Okay, that's an important scenario right there. One of the things that you want to avoid as much as possible is that. The jagged teeth. The jagged teeth is a bad thing that's on the left side. It's very bad because there's no good way to clean it out. Because now it forces like this weird T slot here. So if you can avoid the jagged teeth setup as much as possible, that is a preferable thing. Jagged, anytime you have lots of points like this is not a good scenario. Anytime you have that, the best way to fix these scenarios is the T piece. The T piece is always going to be your savior because the T piece is what you want to consider yourself switching from odd to even. If you have jagged teeth, the T piece will change it to a 2-wide block instead of a single wide block. So the T piece is always the odd to even piece. And that's kind of something that you really, really, really want to keep in mind. So, but see, that's not true, Procol, is that the T piece doesn't always go everywhere. That's what a lot of people think. But the way that I play Tetris in a way such that I purposely create 2 blocks like this. So as a result, I actually don't have a good place to place it. It's really interesting. The style of Tetris that I play makes T pieces actually unfriendly for me. And it is unique to the way that I play, but the reason why I play that is because getting screwed by a bad T piece is not nearly as bad as getting screwed by a bad S or a Z piece. The more times that you have to place an S or a Z piece standing up if you have to place a piece standing up like that, the worse off you actually are. If you're actually building your stack properly, you're going to be trying to build a lot of too wide stack spaces like this. Because if you build too wide stack spaces, that lets you place Z's and S's flat. And the reason why that's an advantage is because, see, in this, so let's say I have this scenario right here. Okay, let's say I have this scenario right here. If I put this in here, notice that the landscape doesn't change. The only thing I can fit in here is an S piece. And when I drop an S piece in there, the only thing that I can fit in there is an S piece. So literally, I changed nothing. It's the exact same situation again. You've created a reliance on an S piece that repeats itself constantly. So you're always reliant on the S piece. And you want to make it so you're not reliant on the same piece over and over and over again. So when you place the pieces standing up like that, it's more likely you create a repetitive scenario. Whereas when you place it flat, you're actually changing the landscape and preserving the flat space. You see how that works there? When you actually do that, you end up preserving your pattern. You preserve your style here. So if I put this here, I have this, and so I've got jagged teeth here again, and I don't like the jagged teeth. So I'm gonna do what I can to get rid of the jagged teeth, and it kind of requires a T-piece. Like I said, the T-piece is always gonna be your savior of getting rid of jagged teeth scenarios. And so you don't wanna force yourself into a reliance on those T-pieces constantly. So the way you wanna do that is just to make sure that you build your stack in a way so that you place enough. See, now that I've created that, this Z piece has a wonderful place to go. Very, very straightforward, easy place to go, right? If I see that an S piece or a Z piece is coming up and there's no convenient place to play it, I'll create one. So I create one right here so that this can go here and still create a relatively flat scenario. This is good because I've created a double space here. And I've kind of got a double space here because even if I put this piece here, I still have the double space, right? So I can place this piece here, but that ruins the next S piece, so I'll stand it up because I see another L piece coming up. So I can put this here, that two-piece slot is preserved, so I have another spot to put that, etc., etc., etc. So this, not too bad because the J pieces are coming up, so I can do that. And again, I could put this piece here, but that ruins where the S piece goes. So instead, I'm gonna put it here, which originally looks like a bad idea, but now it's a good idea because I put the piece there, and now I have a nice flat base again. Again, just really always keep track of where the field is gonna go. This is a bad place because it forces another L. This is a bad place because it forces something. So I'm gonna put that there because I see a square is coming up here. It's not actually very good right now anyway, but that one wasn't exactly a great scenario, but it worked out for myself anyway. But again, flat base is always preferable. If you can keep the base flat and always aim to try to get the two-spot base. Now this is a tricky one right here. I could wait for the red piece or I can do that because I saw another one was coming. There's just a lot of adjustments you can make that look like terrible ideas at first, but just because of the fact that you have the preview, it helps so much that you can see what's coming up and you know how to handle situations. So there you go. So that's kind of a thing right there. How far into the next list do you think new players should worry about? Or would it be a more important strong place that leaves room for any piece? This is Puyo Puyo Tetris, but that's because there's a one-player mode that goes slow enough that I can teach. What you should do really is concentrate on mostly just the next piece. You're really focusing on the next piece. But if you ever get to a situation where when you drop a piece, the next piece feels uncomfortable, you all of a sudden break down into the next piece after that to see if you can use all three pieces to create a flat thing. And if the third piece doesn't help, then you look at the fourth piece to do it. For the most part, you should always be looking at the next piece. When you play Tetris without a next piece, you feel like you're naked. It's like helpless. When you actually play it without it, it is the most uncomfortable thing. And that's when you know you're getting to that point as a Tetris player, that you're so reliant on the next piece that without it, you just don't feel comfortable putting a piece down anywhere because you don't know what the next piece coming is going to do for you. You don't know where you're putting your piece because you're not sure how it affects the next piece. Without next, it's so hard to play Tetris, which is why there's a tournament at the Classic Tetris World Tournament, a side tournament, the No Next Piece Tournament, which is just brutal as all, brutal AF, man, brutal AF. So you want to kind of look down the next piece, and if that one doesn't quite help you, then you look down the next one, and you kind of look down the next one. The thing is, how those pieces affect each other won't be clear to you until you play a lot of Tetris and you start memorizing landscape scenarios. Like I said, when I play Tetris, the landscape, there's almost never a landscape that I run into that I think to myself, oh shit, what the hell? Like, as soon as I see the landscape, I kind of know what pieces I want and need to fix it and the different kind of combinations to do it. It's why I'm not good at T-spins, because when you play for T-spins, you're looking for an entirely different kind of scenario. Like so, and like I've already fucked it up, right? So I could do this and I can get a T-spin like this. But see, I've already fucked it up because I built this wall here. So this doesn't give me repeated T-spins. Guys who are good at repeated T-spins are good at creating a landscape that just like constantly repeats itself into T-spins. I don't know how they do it, but it's like fucking amazing how they do it. See, like, I'm already bad at this. I've already fucked this up really badly. I don't know how they do it. I honestly don't know how they do it, but they're super good at it. And the way they do it, because they build it so fast, there's almost always a T-piece coming up that fills out the hole, and it's really, really crazy. Not really a blind Tetris category. No one really plays it that way because the reason why a lot of people don't play blind Tetris like that is because it really takes a lot of the strategy out of the game. It really becomes very RNG dependent. And yeah, 7-bag randomizer is something that's very, very, very important for Tetris. In case you don't know what 7-bag randomizer is, they take the 7 different tetraminos, randomize the order that they show up, take the 7 tetraminos, randomize the order that they show up, give them to you, take the 7 pieces, randomize the order, give them to you. So no matter what, within a block of 14 pieces, you will always get every piece twice. Within a block of 7 pieces, you will always get a piece once. And so that way, that's why if you haven't seen a piece in a long time, you kind of get the idea that one of those pieces is coming. It's why people have created all clear scenarios, because probability-wise, there is a high chance. I don't think I can do it. There is a 60-something% chance that you can get a perfect clear based off of the pieces that you get because of that. I fucked it up. Have I ever watched high-level Tetris on the stream and analyzed it? No. But that would be a really cool idea. That would be a really cool idea. So there you go. So because of 7-bag, there is a 60-some% chance that you can get an all clear. And that's the way it works. And then that's also why 4-wide is so set-upable. Because of 7-bag, you're kind of guaranteed at least this start. This start is almost guaranteed. So once you start doing that, you can really start taking advantage of this kind of thing. Oops, I messed up. Ah, God! Well, I fucked that one up really badly. Is it easier to do perfect clears in the early game only? Yeah. Basically, once you get in there and once junk starts being sent to you, the number of blocks that you have on the screen might not even be divisible by 4. So a perfect clear might not even be possible at all at that particular moment. Okay, I fucked that perfect clear up. I missed it. But again, if I rotate this clockwise, I can't squeeze it in there. If I rotate it counterclockwise, I can snap that in there. So weird stuff, weird stuff. Yeah, that's a special situation. And it's because if you notice, when I rotate them the 2 different ways, you notice how they rotate different ways? And in fact, when you play Tetris 99, what's actually interesting is that the load icon actually shows you the current standard Tetris rotation system, which is really funny that they actually show that to you. So that on the bottom right corner of the screen is actually the standard Tetris rotation system. And the fact that the pieces shift within that 4x4 box actually is very, very significant. I don't know why Switch games don't drop in price. It is kind of weird. So that whole thing in the middle of the screen, you see how the piece kind of shifts around in that little 3x3 block? That's actually very significant. The eyepiece especially. The eyepiece, watch the eyepiece rotate. You see how the 2 different, sometimes it's in column 3, sometimes it's in column 4. All those things are very important to the way that Tetris rotates. What did I do? The way to the Tetris pieces rotate.